Thank you, Rebecca and Barbara. My name is Jessie Sambell and I also work at Blackburn English Language School in the secondary sector. The students I taught were 12 to 14 years old and ranged from S1 to S2 on S1.1 to S1.2 on the EAL developmental continuum. The genre I focused on for this unit was recount writing, which was based on an excursion to the city. The excursion provided a shared experience for all the students to draw upon when writing, and so this meant that every student could contribute regardless of their language levels. The activity I will talk about happened in the learning in the genre stage as well, within the teaching and learning cycle. In the previous lessons, students had learned about the genre at the whole text level, mainly focusing on the structure. The activity in this lesson was now focusing on the sentence level, learning the language features of the genre. More time was spent on this stage with this class as they needed to learn how to write sentences and with the correct sentence structure. A simple sentence consists of a single clause which is broken up into participant, process and circumstance. In other words, the who and the what and the when and so on. These are colour-coded to support students to identify and understand the different parts of a sentence. When I introduced this to the students, I used question first, such as what happened, who, when, where and so on, and then gradually introduce the meta-language to them. The activity I completed was using cut-up sentence strips to teach students the syntax of a simple sentence. This was with a past tense action verb. Although the functional grammar approach was new to both myself and the students, they really took on the meta-language in this process fantastic, and I was really impressed with how well they did with this. In a minute, I'll show a video that shows how I use cut-up sentence strips in my class. So in pairs and groups of 3, students were given cut-up chunks of language, which were about what we did on the city experience. They first had to order these into participant, process and circumstance, and then together they had to create sentences and decide where to put the information in the sentence. After they attempted this in small groups, I then showed the whole class how they could move parts of the sentence around and be creative with language. The students were so excited when they realised that they could move around the sentence, and they really took ownership over what they've created. And at the end of the lesson, the students wrote their sentences on paper and they then added this to their drafts. So just here is a video for you to demonstrate the teaching and learning cycle.
Yes, it's right.
And what time is it?
No, it's right. Oh, yes. Where is my class? Yes. Yeah. Okay, next one. No, we first go to the library. Yeah. To say the colleagues.
About the history of Melbourne. In the morning, on Wednesday, I went with my class by bus to the Melbourne Museum. Okay? So this sentence is a little bit different. And this is okay too. We are putting why first because we want the reader, the person who is reading the sentence, to know that this is important.
On Thursday in the morning, I went by bus to the State Library to see Ned Kelly's Alma with my class.
How long is your sentence?
Very long.
I think many said you have learned how to write longer sentences.
Yeah.
Without conjunction, without and. And you can make writing fun.
Yeah.
Okay.
So as you can see, the students were highly motivated and engaged throughout the unit. And as Julie said earlier, there was also a playfulness with learning language and writing in English, which I was really happy to see. I think following the teaching and learning cycle and having this explicit approach made the unit and made these activities fantastic and really engaging for all the students. I felt that as a result of the explicit language and the focused activities, the students produced a recount at the end of the unit at a very high standard for their language level. What also supported their learning was allowing students time to add this into their drafts at the end of each lesson. Before teaching this unit, many of the students could only write a couple of short sentences, often with incorrect sentence structure or not really using past tense correctly. But after the unit, I was really impressed with what they were able to produce. And often the students wrote one page or more independently once we got to the independent stage of the writing. I also found that at the end of the unit, the students were actually bursting to start writing. And they were really proud of what they were able to achieve when we finished. So thank you.